Alexel says, hello, Mr. Xisuma. Will you ever continue doing guitar covers? I really enjoyed them. Well, I got a little story for you. It's not to do with guitar covers. By the way, I'm stoked to hear you enjoyed them. That's awesome. Little bit of a story for you, okay? Ironically, this comes out on the day that the Game Design's Aspirations video has been put out on the xisumasays channel. I find that interesting because I've had this like little bit of extra time, and game design always occupies my mind. I think I still want to pursue that. Still figuring out like my approach, and I'm working on a couple of things. But anyway, there's something else I could put my time into, and that is doing some music. And so the other day, I had like a bit of time in the evening, and I kind of done all I needed to do, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fire up the old DAW and see what happens. Now, what was also helpful is that I kind of remembered that I had a project I was working on, an industrial project, where I took this approach of creating like a sound design template. So this is like a collection of plugins, drum kits, things of that nature, all in like one spot together, and set up to be, you know, used in a template style. So like when you listen to a record, especially a band record as opposed to an electronic or virtual instrument record, like a common thing is that like they have like an identity song to song. You've got similarities in aesthetics. So like, you know, let's say we take Metallica, Ride the Lightning, it's got this kind of flavor to it, this sound, this guitar tone. It's not the same on Master of Puppets. The Black Album's slightly different, right? Like I wanted to create something where each song that I'd make in the environment would kind of feel cohesive. And so I spent a lot of time creating this sound and this template, and it produced this track called Negative Civilization, which you can hear over on the Soulside Eclipse channel. And I also produced like a couple of other tracks. And so I remembered that, and I was like, well, if I go in there, I can kind of jump straight into making sounds and beats. And that's exactly what I did. I had an amazing time. It was almost as if a day hadn't passed, and I just went straight into that space where I can sit and just listen over and over again and like feel the music and toy around with it and come up with like, you know, riffs and arrangements that are interesting. And I didn't really achieve too much in terms of like anything that I think like, oh, this is going to be it, this is going to be in a song or anything. But you know, I reconnected with the process, and I realized the process is so doable. I can totally get back into doing this. And I think I might just make sure there's time here and there to just keep chipping away at that project. But the thing is, my digital audio workstation, it is now old. It is 10 years old. It is a bit slow at loading stuff. It has some problems. I had to copy gigabytes and gigabytes of files from one hard drive to another because it was easier to just have it in that location as opposed to tell the program to look in that location for every single file, because there were thousands of them. So, you know, once I got it up and running, I started noticing these other problems. Like, man, the desk I'm sitting at is kind of awful, and my mouse is broken. Like clicking, I have to click really hard, otherwise it double clicks. And, you know, the screens aren't like the right distance for focusing on. And then I realized, oh, I don't remember all these shortcuts and how to use the program that well. So everything was kind of slow and clunky, but I kind of got to grips with it rather quickly. So then I started thinking about what things can I adjust and work on. And I've already done a little bit of like optimizing the computer and stuff. What things can I work on so next time I come here and do this, it's way more productive with my time. And in doing so, I searched up this idea that I had, like, all the shortcuts for Fruity Loops are on your keyboard. Surely there is like a map or something like a macro keyboard that could help you achieve this. And what would you know, I found a website that does custom built keyboards with custom keys that show you what the hotkeys are. And it's not just for Fruity Loops, it's for other audio software and for other video software as well. And that is really, really powerful. Like, I don't have to, well, I'm going to learn all the hotkeys, right? I've even got the manual now. I'm going to start learning some of the hotkeys. Like, there were just a few that were really great to know, like being able to create a new pattern without having to go into the menu is kind of super helpful. So knowing those is going to be useful, but having this keyboard is also going to be super useful, having all the things laid out on it. I then also started to think, you know, oh, am I going into like throw money at it mode? Because that is a thing that we all do as humans. It's a known, documented like imagination phenomenon. Yeah, that might be the word for it. Basically, it's like a psychology thing. Like when you want to achieve something, there is this psychological effect that spending money helps you get there. A really great example of one is fitness and losing weight. When people get like a spur of motivation and this idea of, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to lose weight and all that, so I'm going to go running, I better buy me some running trainers. Like, you do the buying bit first because you think it's like what you need, like you're almost buying the thing that you want, whereas actually you still got to do the hard work at the end of the day. So I'm wondering if, like, am I thinking like that to some extent? Is this now powered? Sunk cost fallacy, says Dragon. That is not what it is. Sunk cost fallacy is when you have put money into something already and it's not working, so you put more in and it keeps not working, and you find it hard to walk away from it because of all the money you put in. So you keep putting more, trying to fix it. I think it applies when it's hopeless, but you're still putting like your money or time. It's not always money, is it? It's time as well. And I think it also applies when like the payoff won't be there anymore. Like you put in so much money, the payoff is gone. So those are like two scenarios where that might be applicable. Anyway, it's just a case of like, you know, I started to think I could do this and I could do it faster and better and have more fun if everything was hooked up and ready. And I started thinking about this would be better on a standing desk. I could have the keyboard here, I could have my musical keyboard there, and then my drum pads here. And like I just started feeling the kind of lack of freedom to just make stuff happen quickly because I was clunky, you know, like it's just like a lot of things. If you haven't done it in a long while, you're going to come back to it and it's going to be a bit clunky. And I was just feeling that, I guess. It was just like, oh, you know, this would be faster if I could remember the key combinations, and I just need to polish up on a few things so when I go in, the creativity will flow a little better. But anyway, I pulled out some old projects and just was amazed I'd forgotten about them, and they sound really great. I've got this industrial metal setup that's just like brilliant. It's got all this sort of like textural sound stuff for atmosphere. It's got a really cool drum kit. I was making some awesome beats on it, and yeah, it's a real cool template. Like I said, that Negative Civilization song, that is something you could go listen to if you want to get an idea of what it feels like. Now, when I started making that, I had a very different mindset, and I'd picked out some of these very kind of like, you could call them like social political commentaries, and like the template is called Negative Civilization, and it was all going to be filled up with like critical stuff. And I still feel like I want to achieve that, like I want to finish that idea, that vision, even though that's not quite how I think anymore. I think it would be really fun just to finish that like thematic idea. And so, you know, I might start working on it. Who knows? Who knows where it will lead? But I definitely got this feeling like, hey, I want to get back into that and just like polish up the studio a bit, figure things out, and just like start making some beats. Doesn't even have to be anything spectacular. Just the process of doing it is magical. I got sucked into it. It was like I was going to sit down for a little bit, and then an hour and a half went by, and I was just like, whoa, it's just like it used to be, you know, just go into this time machine and just get lost. It's great. Alvin Glow Up says, I'd love to hear you make music again. I'd love to do it, really. So I had this realization, because I'd talked about wanting to do some game design. I realized that I'm currently like in a state of high productivity where I like excel at doing what we're doing right now. Live streaming, making videos, running my channels, making Hermitcraft episodes. It's like routine. I know how to do it. I create stuff constantly, and it's a really great process. It's all good. But when I start to look towards my other aspirations like music and game design, I don't have that level of productivity from the start, and I don't have that platform as well. Like, there's a certain sense of success that comes back to you when you put out videos and people enjoy it, when you do live streams and people tune in and they hit the follow button. Oh, that was the cheekiest plug. Oh, Xisuma, I'm leaving. Oh, how could you do that to me? Oh, how could you? Like, this is like, you know, a constant source of getting things done and success. And so when I go to those other aspirations, they're daunting to get to that level. But I'm looking at it like, what's the shortest route to that level? Reading the comments on the game design video, people pointed this out to me, that I was approaching it like I need to come up with an amazing idea that everyone's going to play, as opposed to just enjoying the designing process. And so it's the same with music. It's what I realized when I sat down and was just playing for the love of it, is that the process is where I am at now. I'm not at the point of like turning around something fantastic for my audience to enjoy. So if I can get over that psychological like barrier and just focus on the process of doing this thing that I want to do, then I think I can, you know, basically, yeah, go in that direction. And now it's a case of like, what do I want to do then? Am I going to do game design or music? I think I'm going to explore a couple of game design ideas that I've been working on, and then see what happens with that. And, you know, maybe do a little bit of music in between, but really feels like at the moment it's got to be one or the other, and I'm very torn because of how passionate I am about music. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. X, I write and make music and games, and I totally understand your lack of feedback you're describing. As you've said in the past about YouTube, you do have to do it for fun and not for people to enjoy. Yeah, you've just related it from another angle there. For me, it wasn't the lack of feedback, it was more like there's this audience here. But if I'm going to make games and music, I've essentially not got to make it for all of you, I've got to make it for me, and then I'll have that like leg up of there's a bunch of people here who might be interested in it. But you're totally right, I've got to treat it like I'm starting from scratch, like it's day zero. So every time I'm at that computer, I can't be thinking, when is this going to turn into a song and I share with my audience? That's not the way I got to approach it. To be fair, I wasn't thinking that way with the music at all. When it comes to music, I know exactly how to do and go to where I need to go because it's just so natural. It's like, I just love it. As soon as I get into that space where I make, I'm just there and I'm nowhere else. It's great. But with game design, I was not thinking that way around. So definitely going to help with the old game design ambitions. Make note block things, the Silver Winds. Yeah, it's kind of not appealing to me to do note block stuff because I feel like the note blocks are very basic. Like, I could easily grab some of my songs or write some melodies, export them into MIDI, swap them over into like a note block converter and put a song inside the game. I mean, when I say it out loud, it sounds like something people would enjoy to see, actually. It might be worth doing. It might be worth doing. I've thought of that idea so many times over the years and just thought, nah. Like, because I'd rather my songs have proper instruments. But, you know, maybe I could take a song off of Forgotten Conquest or adapt something. I don't think that works too well with Minecraft music, but I've probably got something lying around. I mean, I've got hundreds of MIDI files and melodies and little tracks that I put together. I'm sure something exists somewhere that would be parallel to Minecraft a little bit. Either way, it's great to have multiple passions. In my opinion, there's nothing better than simply just doing things like Nike. This is Tony Tower. I like that. Yeah, you just like put a little idea in my head of like, when I get frustrated with Minecraft stuff, sometimes I go to power through mode, right? Maybe it'd just be great to like, when one thing's not working, jump into the other thing. I mean, you need a refresher from activities quite often. I think it's going to be good. I've just, since I did that the other day in the last few days, I've really been in a good space, and it just, in my head just now, like, linked the two together. You know, when you have a streak of good days, maybe something kicked it off. Maybe something shifted and changed, you know.